Welcome to our Guidingpedia channel. In this video, you will know about new education policy of India with the expert lecture and webinar. All students were guided by speaker Professor Raghuvendra Pratap Tiwari, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Punjab Central University, which was held in REC Riva Engineering College. So watch the full video to know about it.
1986 के बाद जारी शिक्षा नीति में विभिन्न पहलुओं के बारे में, विभिन्न आयामों के बारे में, स्ट्रक्चर्स के बारे में, इसके एडवांटेज के बारे में, जैसा कि एनपीआईयू और हमारे एआईसीटी और मध्य प्रदेश तकनीकी शिक्षा विभाग द्वारा जारी दिशा निर्देश के अनुसार आप सभी विद्वतजनों को, विद्यार्थियों को इससे रूबरू कराना इस वेबिनार का उद्देश्य है और इसीलिए ये 2 दिवसीय वेबिनार रखा गया है। एक बार पुनः हम आप सभी का इस वेबिनार में रीवा इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज रीवा की ओर से हार्दिक स्वागत और अभिनंदन करते हैं। मैं स्वागत करता हूं महाविद्यालय के माननीय प्राचार्य महोदय आदरणीय डॉक्टर बीके अग्रवाल सर का, जिनके मार्गदर्शन में सतत रूप से इस कोरोना काल में इस वेबिनार, अलग अलग तरह के वेबिनार के माध्यम से अलग अलग प्रकार की जानकारियां हमने पूरे राष्ट्र में फैलाई है। आपका सतत मार्गदर्शन हमें मिलता रहता है और उसी कड़ी में आज का वेबिनार आयोजित है। हम आपको बताना चाहेंगे हमारे महाविद्यालय का जो पहला वेबिनार हुआ था कोरोना जेनिक पर, उसके भी हमारे एक्सपर्ट थे माननीय कुलपति महोदय और आज फिर से आपने हमारे थोड़े से छोटे से आग्रह को स्वीकार करके आज फिर से एक्सपर्ट के रूप में अपनी उपस्थिति यहाँ पर दर्ज कराई है। हम आपका अभिनंदन करते हैं। हमारी पूरी टीम जो लगातार सतत रूप से एक हफ्ते से इस वेबिनार के सफल संचालन में लगी हुई है, हम उसका हार्दिक अभिनंदन करते हैं। हम अभिनंदन करते हैं टेक्यू कोऑर्डिनेटर डॉक्टर आरपी तिवारी सर का, अपनी पूरी टीम का प्रोफेसर अर्चना ताम्रकार जो कोऑर्डिनेटर हैं, प्रोफेसर समीक्षा सिंह जो को कन्वीनर हैं और सभी को कोऑर्डिनेटर प्रोफेसर देवेश मिश्रा, प्रोफेसर अंकित सचदेवा, प्रोफेसर विक्की अग्रवाल और प्रोफेसर हर्षित नेमा, आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत। एक छोटा सा संक्षिप्त परिचय देना चाहेंगे आज अपने एक्सपर्ट महोदय का। वैसे पूरा परिचय देने में बड़ा वक्त लगेगा और सर के पास भी समय कम है। छोटा सा परिचय है कि आप वर्तमान समय में माननीय कुलपति हैं पंजाब केंद्रीय विश्वविद्यालय में। इसके पहले आप सागर केंद्रीय विश्वविद्यालय में कुलपति रह चुके हैं। आप वैसे बेसिकली प्रोफेसर हैं जियोलॉजी सब्जेक्ट के मिजोरम यूनिवर्सिटी में। एक बड़ा लंबा कैरियर है आपका, 95 रिसर्च पेपर्स हैं आपके विभिन्न जर्नल्स में, 7 बुक चैप्टर्स हैं, 2 बुक हैं। इसके अलावा आपने कई रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट में काम किया है, 10 मेजर रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट हैं आपके। आप चीफ एडिटर हैं साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी जनरल मिजोरम यूनिवर्सिटी के। आप मेंबर हैं एडिटोरियल बोर्ड पैलेंटोलॉजिकल सोसाइटी ऑफ इंडिया के। आप मेंबर हैं एडिटोरियल बोर्ड ऑफ प्रोसीडिंग ऑफ आईएनएसए के। इसके अलावा रिव्यूअर भी हैं कई जर्नल्स के, जिसमें जियोलॉजिकल सोसाइटी है, करंट साइंस है, गुडवाना जियोग्राफिकल सोसाइटी है, हिमालय जियोलॉजी है। ये सारे के सारे जर्नल्स में आप रिव्यूअर भी हैं। आपको 2 पुरस्कारों से नवाजा भी जा चुका है, एल रामाराव पुरस्कार और डॉक्टर एसएम नकवी गोल्ड मेडल अवार्ड। इसके अलावा आपने कई ऐसे ऐतिहासिक कार्य किए हैं जो शिक्षा जगत के लिए महत्वपूर्ण हैं। आप मेंबर हैं यूनिवर्सिटी ग्रैंड कमीशन के, आप मेंबर एग्जीक्यूटिव काउंसिल ऑफ नैक के, जनरल काउंसिल के, फाइनेंस कमेटी के, मेंबर सर्च कमेटी, सिलेक्शन कमेटी के, मेंबर प्रोग्राम एडवाइजरी कमेटी के, आप नेशनल लेवल स्टैंडिंग कमेटी के मेंबर भी हैं, मिजोरम स्टेट हायर एजुकेशन काउंसिल फॉर सोसाइटी के मेंबर हैं आप, कई गवर्निंग बॉडी के मेंबर हैं। एक लंबा आपका परिचय है और कम शब्दों में आपके परिचय को नहीं बताया जा सकता। आप राष्ट्रीय शैक्षिक प्रमुख हैं भारतीय शिक्षण मंडल के और एक बार पुनः आपका हार्दिक अभिनंदन और स्वागत करते हैं। एक बार पुनः आप सभी जो यहाँ पर प्रतिभागी उपस्थित हैं, गणमान्य प्रतिभागी, हम उनका हार्दिक अभिनंदन और स्वागत करते हैं। थैंक यू।
Thank you so much, sir, for your enriching words. Now I request Dr. R.P. Tiwari, sir, coordinator TechU Phase 3 and patron of this event, to please give his welcome speech. Dr. R.P. Tiwari, sir.
So good morning, one and all present over here. Really, it is a great event for us that we are organizing a national education policy webinar on very thematic point, that is new dimensions, technological uses, and its integration in higher education. Really, it is a subject which need to be addressed among all the stakeholders, including student, teachers, and industry person, everyone. On this webinar, really we are very happy, and we are also grateful that our chief guest and our speaker, Dr. Raghavendra Prasad Tiwari, who is Vice Chancellor in the Punjab Central University, has kindly agreed to give his valuable talk at this event. Everybody know Dr. Sandeep Pandey sir already told that he is a stalwart in this area. He has worked very much in the formulation of new education policy drafts. Really, his input for us will be very useful for all the participants. Dr. B.K. Gawal sir, who is principal of Rewa Engineering College, Rewa, is always behind us for making us such seminars. I also welcome him. The topic of today's webinar is very relevant in this respect, that education is the backbone of any country. Any country's progress and development is only known by and measured by what is the education policy is running in that country. As we know that India is known for its education in the ancient times, but due to some reasons in the British period, when Macaulay education system came, the things has been destroyed. We are always have to be a job providers in all respects, but due to coming of these education systems, we are producing the graduates who are not job providers, but they are job seekers. This is one point of worry. So only 3 points you have to consider in this moment, that at least for me, that any education should be such that it should cater the needs of the industry. The technology is running very fast. Industry is needing a new dimension of technology, and really our education should be matching properly with the need of the industry pupils. No doubt our graduates will go very fast and they will match with the requirement of industry. Second thing is our education system should be a flexible one, flexible system. Flexible system होना चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर कोई सिविल इंजीनियरिंग का स्टूडेंट है और किसी पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम में उसको लगता है कि नहीं उसको कुछ चीजें और पढ़नी चाहिए, जो कि आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस की पढ़नी चाहिए, ये चीज पढ़नी चाहिए, तो एट एनी पॉइंट ऑफ मोमेंट ही कैन ऐड दैट कोर्स. सो आई थिंक न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में वो चीजें आई हैं कि किसी पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम में आप एजुकेशन को आपको मोल्ड कर सकते हो किसी भी डायरेक्शन में. एक्चुअली मैं अगर कहना चाहूँ शॉर्ट में, अब किसी एक और सब्जेक्ट का एजुकेशन नहीं रह गया है, अब मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी एजुकेशन की बात हो रही है, क्योंकि कोई प्रोजेक्ट आप हाथ में लेते हैं तो आपको हर सब्जेक्ट का, हर टेक्नोलॉजी का नॉलेज होना जरूरी होता है. और तीसरी चीज जिसमें हिंदुस्तान शायद बहुत आगे जा सकता था, वो है जो हमारा नॉलेज है वो प्रॉपरली वो किसी कारणवश वो सोसाइटी में स्प्रेड नहीं हो पाया, चाहे वो लैंग्वेज की प्रॉब्लम हो, चाहे संस्कृत भाषा की प्रॉब्लम हो, या गुरु सिस्टम ऐसा हमारा था कि जो छात्र पहुंचते थे उन्हीं तक केवल वो ज्ञान मिल पाता था. तो जो नई टेक्नोलॉजी आई है हमारी, जिस टेक्नोलॉजी के थ्रू अभी हम बैठे बैठे यहाँ बात कर रहे हैं, आई थिंक इस टेक्नोलॉजी का यूज करके हम बड़े मास तक अपनी बात को पहुंचा सकते हैं. तो एजुकेशन सिस्टम में टेक्नोलॉजी का बहुत रोल है, चाहे वो टेक्नोलॉजी को सीखने की बात हो या सीखने के लिए टेक्नोलॉजी के यूज की बात. बोथ द वे टेक्नोलॉजी इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, एंड हायर एजुकेशन में खास करके टेक्नोलॉजी का बहुत बड़ा यूज है. हमारे जो प्रोफेसर राघवेंद्र तिवारी सर हैं, ऑनरेबल वाइस चांसलर हैं, और काफी उनका नॉलेज है. सर का लेक्चर आई थिंक बहुत फ्रूटफुल होगा हम सभी के लिए. और हमारी जो टीम है डॉक्टर संदीप पांडे सर की, और प्रोफेसर अर्चना ताम्रकार, प्रोफेसर समीक्षा, प्रोफेसर देवेश, प्रोफेसर अंकित, all these have worked very hard to come through this our dream that at least Rewa Engineering College should go in this direction to spread this education system in the entire country. I think उसमें हम सफल हो रहे हैं. हम इतने बड़े स्टालवर्ड को हम यहाँ बुला पाए हैं, उनकी बात हम लोगों के सामने रख रहे हैं। रियली सभी लोगों का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। बहुत अच्छा प्रोग्राम होना चाहिए, ऐसी मेरी आशा है। धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, sir, for your worthful address. Thank you so much. Next in line, I request our principal, Dr. B.K. Agrawal, who is chief patron of this event, to please give your word of knowledge about this event. Dr. B.K. Agrawal, sir.
A very good morning to all of you.
Morning.
The education policy was announced. I welcome Dr. Tiwari sir from Punjab University also. पिछली जो एजुकेशन पॉलिसी 1986 में लागू की गई थी और उसको 34 साल हो गए। कोई भी चीज पुरानी हो जाती है तो नेचुरली वो मोनोटोनस टाइप की भी हो जाती है और उसमें बहुत सारी कमियां उजागर होने लगती हैं वक्त के साथ साथ। इसको देखते हुए जो न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी 2020 घोषित की गई तो उसमें बहुत ही ज्यादा जो है एडवांटेजियस दिखता है, जैसा कि अभी मेरे पूर्व वक्ता डॉक्टर आरपी तिवारी सिविल वालों ने बताया। इसकी जो सबसे बड़ी खासियत है वो है फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी और मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी अप्रोच। ये दो इसकी बहुत बड़ी सैलिएंट फीचर्स हैं। और जो सबसे बड़ी बात है इसके अलावा जो कि हमेशा लैकिंग रही हमारे बच्चों में, वो है रटंत विद्या। न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी को अगर आप ड्राफ्ट उसका ध्यान से पढ़ें तो कॉन्सेप्ट्स के ऊपर बहुत बड़ा जोर दिया गया है। कॉन्सेप्ट्स जो कि मिसिंग है टोटल। आज हम इंटरनेशनल वर्ल्ड में वही लड़के IITN या जो बच्चे निकल रहे हैं जिन्होंने अपने 12वीं तक का कोर्स में कंसेप्चुअलाइज किया है सब्जेक्ट को, पर्टिकुलरली फिजिक्स, मैथ्स, केमिस्ट्री, इन विषयों को जिन्होंने कॉन्सेप्ट्स के साथ पढ़ा है, वही IIT या इस तरह के एग्जाम्स क्रैक करके आज इंटरनेशनल एरिना में अपना परचम लहरा रहे हैं। तो सबसे बड़ी बात क्या है, ये इस पॉलिसी की खास बात है जिसपे कि कॉन्सेप्ट्स पे जोर दिया गया है। अब रही बात हायर एजुकेशन की और टेक्निकल एजुकेशन की, जो कि अभी तक अलग अलग संस्थाएं को गवर्न करती थी, UGC और AICTE, उसको दोनों को मर्ज करके एक हीरा करके हायर एजुकेशन रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटी बनाया जाएगा। इस तरह से देखा जाए तो टेक्निकल एजुकेशन, हायर एजुकेशन, दिस विल बी सेम से पैरामीटर से गवर्न होंगी। रही बात टेक्निकल एजुकेशन की, जैसा कि मेरे पूर्व वक्ता ने बताया कि बहुत ही बड़ा एडवांटेज होने वाला है टेक्निकल एजुकेशन में। हम चूंकि टेक्निकल एजुकेशन में बिलोंग करते हैं, बाकी तो हम सर से समझेंगे और नई चीजें। इसमें सही बात है, अभी तक हम क्या करते थे, किसी बच्चे ने सिविल या इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स ले लिया और जो मार्केट की जो डिमांड है वो बदलती रहती है। आज सिविल है तो कल इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स, कल इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स था तो आज मैकेनिकल। तो ये एक बड़ी दिक्कत है। बच्चे ने फर्स्ट ईयर करने के बाद, सेकेंड ईयर करने के बाद अगर उसको ये इच्छा होती है, जैसा कि बताया गया, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, न्यूरल नेटवर्क या और ऐसी जो विधाएं हैं, IoT, इंटरनेट ऑफ थिंग्स, मशीन लर्निंग, व्हाटएवर, तो वो बच्चा उसके बाद उसको ऑप्ट कर सकता है। तो बी इलेक्ट्रिकल, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स या मैकेनिकल ना होने के से एक जनरल इंजीनियरिंग हो, जिसको कि डिग्री जो हो हमारी B या BTech हो। शायद इस तरह का मंथन चल रहा है, अभी अर्ली स्टेज है, कुछ कहा नहीं जा सकता, लेकिन यह कि बहुत बड़ा लैंडमार्क साबित होगा अगर ऐसा हो गया तो। अच्छा, आखिरी में ये जो एम्फेसाइज है इस पे, कोई बच्चा अपनी आर्थिक परिस्थिति या किसी अन्य कारणों से ड्रॉप कर देता था, वो ड्रॉप आउट स्टूडेंट, उसके टैग लग जाता था लाइफ में कि वो कॉलेज ड्रॉप आउट है, तो उसको एक बचाने का बहुत बड़ा प्रयास किया गया है हमारे नीति निर्धारकों ने इस नई शिक्षा नीति को घोषित करने में। कि जो फर्स्ट ईयर में जब वो ड्रॉप आउट होगा तो उसका क्या स्टेटस होगा, सेकेंड ईयर में वो ड्रॉप आउट होगा तो उसका क्या स्टेटस होगा, थर्ड ईयर में ड्रॉप आउट होगा तो क्या होगा, और फोर्थ ईयर करेगा तो उसको डिग्री अवार्ड होगी, लाइक दैट। तो वो उसके माथे पे जो ठप्पा रहता था कॉलेज ड्रॉप आउट, वो खत्म हो जाएगा। एक बहुत बड़ी बात है ये, दिस इज द बिगेस्ट थिंग ऑफ दिस पॉलिसी, जो मैं व्यक्तिगत तौर पर मानता हूँ इस बात को, जो कि एक बड़ी जरूरत थी वक्त की। तो मैं सभी को धन्यवाद देता हूँ मुझे आमंत्रित करने के लिए। मेरी ऑर्गेनाइजिंग टीम जो कि दिन रात मेहनत करके इसको 2 दिन का ये आयोजन इन्होंने रखा है। कल के एक्सपर्ट प्रोफेसर KS तिवारी होंगे तो मैं उनको बधाई देता हूं, संदीप पांडे जी और अर्चना ताम्रकार, समीक्षा, सभी को, और हमारे जो टेक फैकल्टी इसके साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, जिन्होंने हमेशा ही आगे आके इस पूरी टीम ने जो है इस कॉलेज के लिए बहुत अच्छा काम किया है, और मैं पुनः सबको बधाई देना चाहता हूं। थैंक यू वेरी मच, धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, sir, for your beautiful words. Before we start this session, there is an announcement for our attendees and our participants. Kindly fill the feedback form that will be forwarded to all the participants at the end of this program, means on 25th February after the session, so that e-certificate could be issued successfully to all the participants who have registered in this program. So do fill the feedback form that will be forwarded tomorrow on 25th February after this session. So now is the moment that we are going to start our session, means our expert is going to deliver his lecture. So before we start this session, I welcome our expert, Dr. Raghavendra Tiwari, who is Vice Chancellor in Punjab Central University and an eminent speaker, a great personality. And his topic of today's session is New Education Policy, Exploring the New Dimension. So I heartily welcome Dr. Raghavendra Prasad Tiwari. Sir, please start your session. Sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good morning to you all. Honorable Principal of Engineering College, B.K. Agrawal, Professor R.P. Tiwari ji, Dr. Sandeep Pandey, Dr. Archana Tamrakar ji, Dr. Samiksha Chauhan, Dr. Devesh Misra, and all those who are privy to this webinar, and those who have joined this on digital platform to listen to me. My good morning to all of you from the sacred land of Punjab. I'm thankful to Dr. Pandey for giving my very elaborated introduction about me. But what he has actually missed is that I hail from a small village near Sirmaur. And I graduated from Riva, and then since then I'm continuously out of MP. Of course, for the last 5 years I was in Saga, and then again my destiny did not allow me to live in MP, so I'm again out. I don't know how long I will be out of MP. Picking up from what Professor Agrawal said, the dropout rate. Basically, in the learning system that we are trying to create through NEP 2020, there's no dropout as such, because anybody leaving at any stage will always walk out with some certificate, some diploma, some degree. Number one, and number two, he or she can enter into the system anytime. It's not only leaving with certificate. As we all know that after first year, if some student is not in position to continue his or her education, then he or she will get certificate. But after few years, if the suitable conditions again prevail, then student can join back the learning system. So this is the beauty. It is not only the multiple exit, but also multiple entry. And this will also facilitate lifelong learning, which has been our Indian view of learning, Bharati view of learning throughout life from the experiences, from the life experiences. Another thing I would like to say that now it won't be HERA, as the principal said. It won't be Higher Education Regulatory Authority, but it would be actually HECI, which is Higher Education Commission of India. And under this, there will be 4 verticals. I'll not go into the architecture of this, but I'll concentrate on the topic that is assigned to me, that is new dimensions of NEP 2020, and also integration of technology with education for enhancing the canvas of learning, and also for creating altogether new learning system that meets the demand and aspirations of youth of the nation. Now, coming back to what Mr. Tiwari said, that there is a huge deficit between the skill that we inculcate in our youth and the skill that is required in the job market, in the industry and all. The main focus of this NEP 2020 is on experiential learning. And this experiential learning basically ensures that, learning by doing, and this further ensures that we have education system which meets the demand-driven learning requirement, demand-driven. Now let us see what actually we demand from our youth. One is, of course, to improve the socio-economic conditions of the nation through engaging themselves in meaningful economic activity. This is one, and that this ensures because it's not only the domain knowledge that a student would be actually receiving from the education system, but also the skills, the entrepreneurship, which is very essential for either engaging in their own, creating their job opportunity for themselves, or for availing the job opportunity offered by the government. So this is basically combination of domain knowledge, education, plus skills, with entrepreneurship, and also the life skills, life values, the mindset which is required to understand very rich and diverse Bharati culture and this combo the Jivan Murli, life values, and take it further, because it is only the culture, our dynamic culture, all encompassing culture, the philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and the philosophy of Sarve Bhavantu Sukhna, that is making our civilization, the oldest civilization on the globe, as still surviving, and not only surviving, but remaining vibrant for thousands of years. So it is this thought process that really adds value to our culture. So therefore, this education policy also addresses this issue as to how to connect our youth with our culture, so that they become torchbearer of our culture. Now, in essence, if we say that, what is this education policy all about? So this is, learner-centric education policy. The focus here is learner, number one, because there is huge options now available for the student to opt the discipline that he or she wants to learn. Number one, the skill that he or she wants to learn, the vocational program that he or she wants to learn, number one. And as to how to learn, this gives full freedom to the students as to how to learn and with what speed to learn. Both, as we all know, our Swami Vivekananda said that every individual is endowed with some inherent potential, and this is the responsibility of the teacher to identify, to recognize that potential and to further sharpen it and train the youth to use that potential for the benefit of the society and for the welfare of the nation. So this can only happen when we give full freedom to learners. Because, every student, say in a class, they have their own speed of learning, they have their own way of learning, and they have different viewpoint towards learning. So combining these three together, taking these three aspects of learner, the new provisions, new paradigms, new imperatives that are proposed in NEP 2020, they revolve actually around these three aspects of learners, and they meet these three aspects of learners. Therefore, this is learning centric. And also because this learning system will also ensure that our learners are connected deeply with our Indian heritage, our Indian culture, Indian value system. Therefore, it is Bharat-centric also. And more than that, more than being learner-centric, more than being Bharat-centric, it is learning-centric. The process. Here the importance is for the process, for the learning process. Because if you correct the process, product will automatically be good. So the emphasis is on the entire learning process. Now, what constitutes the learning process? The learning process constitutes first the option for students to choose the subject that they want to learn, to choose the knowledge domain, knowledge area which they want to pursue. So this option is there, as there is a whole chapter devoted on holistic and multidisciplinary education. Before I further proceed, I would like to say that actually in NEP 2020, there is nothing new for ancient India. For modern India, those who are the product of Macaulayan system of education, everything may appear to be new, but those who are conversant with our ancient learning system, for them nothing is new. For example, holistic and multidisciplinary education is not new because in the same Gurukul, in one Gurukul, in every Gurukul, 16 subjects were taught and 64 skills were taught. All those skills which are required to lead life, to live meaningfully in the society and to contribute for the growth of the nation, all those skills were taught. So there can't be such a vast canvas of holistic and multidisciplinary learning as it used to be in the Gurukuls. So NEP 2020 actually ensures that our old learning system is re-established. So this is one. Now another component of learning system is the syllabi. And in my opinion, one of the major changes that will have large scale impact, qualitative impact in our learning system is the provision for defining graduate attributes. We have been telling for the last 10 years that there is a skill gap between the youth we produce in the higher education system and the job profile that is available to them in the job market. Huge skill gap. Why this skill gap? Because we have never defined learning outcomes. For example, we take civil engineering. After pursuing this course from GEC REVA, what is all the student will learn? What skill he will develop during this course, and what skills, most importantly, what skills which he or she can use after completing this course to earn livelihood and to contribute to the society. So this, what in India we call it learning outcomes, but in Western countries this is called graduate attributes. So essentially, what is that learning outcome that for every program, in fact, it is required to be is told to the students. We go to market, buy anything, whether it is cloth or grocery items or electronic items or anything. We ask, what is the quality? What are the features? Likewise, students have the right to ask what they will achieve if they pursue MSc Biochemistry from Central University of Punjab. What skill they will develop and how this program, MSc Biochemistry, or for that matter, any PG program or any PhD program, any undergraduate program, whether technical or traditional education, how it will help them to develop skills which they can use for becoming entrepreneurship, for becoming innovator, and for being able to start some business, what we call it a startup. So this NEP 2020 ensures and stipulates that for every program, every educational institution will define graduate outcomes for all the programs that the institute is. Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir, hello.
Yeah,
Sir,
am
you
I
are
audible?
audible. Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. Sir, please
So
continue.
so the student will have option to select the program wherever they want to learn, because they are spending their 4 years, say for engineering graduates, they are spending 4 years and lot of money. So they have right to know what skill they will develop if they opt X institute or Y institute or Z institute. So this option, this is providing because all of us now, every education institute has to define graduate attitudes for all the programs that they are offering. Like you have BTech program maybe for seven disciplines. So for each of these programs, learning outcomes are to be defined and these are to be shown, uploaded in the college website. So this, every institution would be doing that. So, it is sort of, it gives, better choice, informed choice. They'll take informed decisions that if they want to pursue civil engineering program from GEC RIVA, they will learn this. And likewise, they will compare it from other engineering colleges, other engineering institutions, and wherever they feel that this institution is offering the maximum package, learning package, they will opt for that institute. So this is the advantage. Now it is, the story does not end there. This is the beginning. And after taking informed decision, they will also see the course content, because the course content has to be matching with the graduate attitudes. We say that these skills will be developed in the students. So whether for developing those skills there is learning module in the syllabus or not. So this, and then the third aspect is pedagogy. Pedagogy is very important. The method of transacting knowledge. This is very important, and that is what there is the role of technology, very important role of technology in pedagogy. We all know that in Gurukuls, there was personalized learning, there was experiential learning. But the new pedagogical paradigm that is developed in the last 10 years in Western countries, and now it has started in certain institutions in India as well. This is called flipped learning. Flipped learning, flip means reverse, ulta. Ulta of what? What is happening today? In the classroom, teaching is largely confined to passing out of information to the students. Information-based teaching. Passive learning environment is created in the classroom where students do not have opportunity to interact. They don't have opportunity to, whatever, if they have not understood certain thing, discuss. Whatever data set information is provided, they don't have opportunity to analyze that data information, to synthesize that information, to draw meaningful conclusions. And not only that, and they are not told the application potential of that inferences. Adi Shankaracharya said that learning happens in 3 stages: Shravan, Manan, and Nidhi Dhyasana. Shravan is because those days there was no books available. So, the knowledge was transferred from one generation to another only in the oral way. So, Guru used to speak and disciples, Shishya used to listen. So, Shravan. Then the Manan. Manan is basically thinking about the information that is provided, analyzing the information, synthesizing the information, and drawing conclusions. So this was Manan. Manan encompassed this thing. And the last stage is Nidhi Dhyasana, which basically denotes that whatever inferences is drawn, that whatever conclusion is drawn from the set of informations, that is applied and then practically seen how much useful it is. And if certain things are not useful, so remove that how add those items which can have value addition to the applications, and this way the knowledge which is gained by the learners, that is put into use, that is put into for wealth creation, and that is the ultimate of knowledge. New knowledge created is ultimate, and then how this new knowledge that is created is useful to the learner himself, to the society, and to the nation. So this is called Nidhi Jansan, and that is what now the pedagogical approach, technology-based, technology-enabled pedagogical approach is flipped learning, where students will be given reading material, they will study at home. Because through reading material, they will receive information. What is happening now in the classroom? They will receive information in the home, and the classroom will be used for interactions, for discussions, for learning application potential, and for peer learning. And students will make presentation, class seminar, and group discussions. So this way, the experiential learning and demonstrations. So this way, experiential learning will be ensured, and that is what is included in NEP 2020. So this pedagogical reform will certainly bring, the type of learning we want to ensure in the students. So R.P. Tiwari was also telling that, we should ensure skill development in the youth. See, the biggest problem, the biggest challenge today that we have is, say, student of class 3, 4, 5. Now, they are pursuing class 2, class 3, class 4, class 5. They will be job ready after, say, 20 years. And what would be the requirement of job market that time? We don't know. Essentially, we do not know what type of job they will be required to perform after 15 years, after 20 years, after 25. Whatever jobs are available now in the market, in the industry, our youth are not trained, because that time when they were learning, when they were trained in the institutions, it was not known to the trainer that what job profile they will have, what job they will be required to do. Likewise, we do not know now what job profile our youth will be required to undertake after 15 years, 20 years. So therefore, we cannot train them, because we don't know what to train them. So therefore, actually, our focus should not be to teach them certain topics, but our focus should be to train them as to how to learn. If we can inculcate this habit, and this can happen only through experiential learning, new and newer projects, dissertations, study tools, then internship, things like this. So it is education. Basically, the focus in NEP 2020 is not to teach them certain subjects, certain domain knowledge, but to train them as to how to learn. So essentially, it is basically the training of minds of the youth, which was the objective in our Gurukuls. So, this ensures this, that we actually train the mind of youth as to how to learn. And another important thing that the present education system, learning system is suffering from is that what we learn today becomes irrelevant down the line after 5 years. And new things would be required to learn that time. So, everybody has to embrace lifelong learning system, habit. And then only teachers can always remain current and relevant. Therefore, for this, we have to believe in the paradigm that learning, unlearning, and relearning. This is the model through which we can train the mind of our youth, and we can always remain relevant and current. Now, another beauty of this NEP 2020 is Academic Bank of Credit. This is very important, Academic Bank of Credit. This, why, you see, the largest reform that learning system of India can think about is this. This in Western countries, it was done, like in Korea, it was done 20 years before. We are doing it now. You see, our learning system is how much outdated the current learning system, and why it is necessary to implement NEP 2020 in all its intent is this, that these reforms which are incorporated in NEP 2020, these reforms have been implemented in Western countries decades ago. We are lagging behind. So, this Academic Bank of Credit, I would like to explain it because this is new concept. For many of us, it may appear to be new concept. I'll explain it with example. Academic Bank of Credit. We all know that now all our programs are credit based, and school education is also, higher secondary particularly, is also going to be credit based now. UG programs are credit based, PG programs are credit based, PhD coursework is also credit based. So these credits, are earned by the students. Now there is provision to have Academic Bank of Credit. It would be digital entity. Like we have our accounts in the banks, and we deposit money and we withdraw money, we make transactions from that account. So likewise, there will be, it won't be physical entity, it would be only digital, and every student will be given option to open credit account in the bank, number one. And then what will happen? For example, BE, Computer Science and Engineering student, some student is enrolled in GEC RIVA in BE, Computer Science and Engineering program. This is program. And under this program, every semester, you teach 4-5 courses. There may be core courses, there may be major elective, there may be minor elective. So, at least 50%, that student has to necessarily take credit from the GEC RIVA. Say, if UG, BE, 4-year BG, BE is, say, 140 credit course, then at least 70 credit he or she has to earn from GEC RIVA. Remaining 50% credit he or she can earn from any, like if, if AI, artificial intelligence course is best taught, for example, in IT Powai, Mumbai, then student admitted in GEC RIVA can opt that course of IT Bombay. He can learn that course in online mode. He can write the examination in online mode, and that credit will be transferred to his account. But of course, GEC RIVA has to take decision that they will accept credits from these number of institutions. So credit transfer provision is to be created. Credit for both sides, and then that credit will be transferred to the account. That credit will be verified, validated, and then that credit will be reflected in the transcript. And as soon as the total credit required for passing out the program is accumulated in the account by the student, then he or she will be given the degree. So you see the option. Presently, what is happening? A student of Computer Science and Engineering GEC RIVA has to necessarily learn all the courses under this program offered by GEC RIVA from the teachers of GEC RIVA, from the facilities that are available pertaining to this discipline in GEC RIVA. But But if GC, this ABC is implemented, then that student can earn credits from anywhere in the country, and later on it will be opened to foreign countries also. See how many fold learning options of students are enhanced. So this is very important. So this one, so this academic bank of credit will enhance the learning options. So in really, in real sense, this NAP 2020 ensures access, equity, and this will ultimately lead to democratization of education, which is very important. Now coming to the other part of the topic, which is your technology use in education. You know that during Corona pandemic, all of a sudden, we had to switch over from offline mode of learning, from classroom mode of learning to online mode. This change has happened abruptly, but our teachers from India, we have very nicely embraced new method of teaching, online teaching. Of course, success rate has not been 100% because of certain reasons. The two reasons are digital divide, because many students from poor economic background, they don't have cell phone, and there's no internet connectivity available everywhere. So for these two reasons, our online teaching is not 100% successful, but by and large, the teachers and the students have embraced this new method of teaching. And this is technology-enabled learning. Now, for coming, say, maybe for about decades maximum, it would be, now this is the time of blended mode of learning, blending of both online and offline learning. Earlier, you might have heard about one online learning platform, indigenous online learning platform, which is Swayam. And this platform is offering MOOCs, massive open online courses in n number of disciplines. Courses offered by any other institute, technical institute in the country, and credit will be transferred. So this earlier, only 20% of the total credit was permissible in online mode through MOOC courses. Now this limit has been enhanced to 40%. That means 40% to online, remaining 60% to offline. So blending of both, blending of online, offline, blended learning. This system, in my opinion, in India, will be there for another 10 years minimum, because by that time, the digital divide, issue of digital divide will be sorted out. By that time, the issue of internet connectivity, we hope that it will be sorted out. So, and then we can go fully online. Now, another issue, the drawback of online learning is pointed out is that there's no eye-to-eye contact between the learner and the teachers, and there's no, teachers cannot observe the facial expression of students. They cannot make out whether the students have really understood or not. So this is great challenge for technology. And technology is advancing very fast. And I'm sure that some devices, some softwares will be developed where the maximum features of online teaching can be ensured, offline teaching can be ensured in online as well. Things are advancing very fast. So this is now the challenge for technology. And, this would be certainly, I'm sure that the way technology is moving fast, this requirement also will be fulfilled through interventions and through use of integration of AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning tools with education. So the pedagogical, approaches, newer pedagogical approaches will emerge, and which will minimize the gap between offline and online learning, and online learning also will be at par in terms of learning opportunities. It will be at par with offline learning with the use of technology. Now, in this, to look after all these things, another thing is ensuring that digital content is available, quality digital content is available. So for this, massive mapping of e-contents, digital contents need to be carried out, not only for identifying the gap areas, but also uh, ensuring the quality of digital content. Because quality digital content now, in the name of digital content, everything is uploaded and everything is available. So authentication of digital content available will be ensured, and the Prime Minister of India last year announced that there will be one nation, one platform, digital platform. So everything will have easy access in one platform. So this way, online learning through the use of technology can be ensured. Now another thing is Swayam Prabha. We have a consortium of educational communication which functions under University Grants Commission, and this consortium for the last 10 years has been generating a lot of e-contents through EMRC, Electronic Multimedia Resource Centers, set up in 18 universities. One of them is in Sagar and another is in Indore. So, these centers have been generating e-contents during the last 20 years, and the e-content thus generated or telecasted round the clock 24/7 through 32 channels under Swayam Prabha platform. Swayam is for MOOCs, Swayam Prabha is for telecasting e-contents, video lectures in almost all the subjects 24/7, and this is very easy device. It is hardly 1,000 to 1,200 is required to be spent. We have to have this antenna as we used to have earlier for TV, and then you can receive all the 32 channels. So this is for higher education. What about school education? So last year, Prime Minister of India announced that one class, one channel, TV channel. So, for example, for class 1, there will be one channel dedicated to class 1, and that channel, through that channel, all reading material, all e-content, video lectures, demonstrations, and fun games will be telecasted throughout. Likewise, another channel for class 2, class 3, class 4. For every class, one channel up to class 12. So, you need the availability of e-content, e-resources, online learning can be, with the use of technology, will be ensured through this. And there are other technological, other digital platforms available for, facilitating online learning. We have NDL, we have EPG Pathshala. Now, every educational institute, what has to do is to make use of all these digital contents, all these video lectures, demonstrations, fun games, puzzle games through which the mathematical concepts can be taught. Or for making use of this, we have to have this one, we have this digital infrastructure, and which becomes really very cheap, because it does not only mitigate the requirement of teachers, it also mitigates the requirement of infrastructure, technology. And for completing all these things, what is proposed in the NEP 2020 is the setting up of National Educational Technology Forum, and this forum will be set up as a society. It will be registered, and the mandate of this will be to show that quality digital material is available in all the disciplines, and it is telecasted everywhere in India. So this technology forum will be the key for use and integration of technology, not only with the higher education, but also with the school education. And another point in NAP 2020 is use of mother tongue. This is going to be huge exercise because now we know that mostly the reading modules are available in English, some are available in Hindi as well, very few in Sanskrit, and very few in regional languages. So, in order to address this issue, NEP 2020 proposes for setting up of Indian Institute of Technology, Translation and Languages. So this institute will ensure that, now up to class 5, there has to be, it is essential to study in the mother tongue. So in all the mother tongues, availability of reading material will be ensured by this IITL, and so that this provision is implemented. Up to class 8 also can be studied in the mother tongue, but that is not compulsory. Up to class 12 also. So far up to class 12, and then slowly, gradually in the higher education also, the reading material, reading modules will be generated in all the languages to facilitate that use of mother tongue in learning system is really ensured, because scientifically it has been proved that learning in the mother tongue makes learning very easy, it makes interesting. So, these are the important technological inventions that are going to happen in our, not only in our higher education, but also in the school education. And through this, our learning system will be really not only learner-centric, but also learning-centric, and students will derive the benefit. Now, what is required to be done? That is, we the teachers, because we are the main implementing agencies. Every teacher is an institution in himself or herself, because in the classroom, whether it is online or offline, he is the master, and he is the driver, and he can make or mark the quality of teaching. So teachers have to fully understand all new imperatives envisioned in NAP 2020. They have to learn themselves as to how to interpret. Government is doing its best. Government has already constituted 9 committees, 9 areas, 9 major areas of reforms are identified, 9 expert groups are constituted. These expert groups are working. Their draft report has already been submitted to Ministry of Education. Minister of Education is further scrutinizing this with the help of experts, and the roadmap for implementation of NEP 2020 will be ready maybe within 2-3 months. Certain things will be implemented in this year itself. For example, we have 45 central universities in India, and admission in the next academic session in these central universities, including Banaras Hindu University, Allahabad University, then Aligarh Muslim University, Delhi University, in all the universities, our Central University of Punjab, will be done through common entrance examination. Central Universities Common Entrance Test, CU set. So this is just in the experimental stage. This will happen slowly. All universities and then all colleges, admission will be now. What is happening for engineering? The same thing that NEET we had. Same thing will happen for admission in universities also. Common entrance test for admission in all education institutions. So this, and also academic backup credit will be implemented from in this year itself. Other provisions will be implemented year by year, and the planning is by 2030-35, everything will be implemented, and we will have new learning system. But as I said earlier, if the teachers will really ensure that this is implemented, and for that, I consider it an opportunity for teaching community to re-establish themselves as we were during the Gurukuls. You know, Gurukuls, during Gurukuls, Gurus never considered teaching as a profession. They considered it as a mission. And they taught in the Gurukul, they trained the youth with missionary zeal. And that is what is required to be adopted by all of us. Another very important thing that I would like to say is that teachers have to constantly upgrade their domain knowledge.